Wait a minute, I only paid everything service. Oh, I know they're. And how many years? I just told them to lube it, change the oil, and rewire all the lights. Maybe get all the lights rewired. So we're gonna sell it.
Don't you? No.
I thought you wanted to.
Just going to mail to everybody.
I believe you did. You have to.
Has the air conditioner been mailed?
Sam's Club.
I just put a windshield in.
For you, is it for you?
I believe we use some corrections, different things.
Good, how are you? Good to see you too, thank you.
And
I figured it was a Sam's Club bar, but it was.
Look at this.
Hi, alright. There was someone who wanted to ask. What's Berry Utilities? Berry Utilities?
find some more clean
They did
vehicles.
the contract work for the valves over on Walton Hill, and then they did ties over.
I just looked at the big tires.
Oh, yes, with the Coast Baptist Church.
Yes, he's on the up right off the bat, so I think that should be here.
Quite good, but.
The reason I'm here.
Here's the deal, and this is the element that I tried to make apparent for years.
Criminals.
Our vehicles, those things are four
Litter
wheel
criminals.
Oh, yes.
State. See,
Yes.
it looks like shit.
They feel like we are.
Yeah.
Oh, it's one of the Gordon girl that I got. What did you do? What did you do?
They were talking about I saw them. They were over there cleaning it up. That bridge is right now. That's Oak.
Yes, yeah, Donna.
Oak and.
No, it's Pecan and Donna.
Yeah.
So you're standing on Pecan looking north.
That's the church.
Right.
How did you know? How did you go in there?
This is take that utility bill off of that portion, in a day, and you're getting to that. I wouldn't sell it to anybody, but it's still be long. I just take the plates off of it, call it readers reference, and junk that thing out. It ain't worth a shit. Huh? I'm still a little stiff and sore, but I'm a hell of a lot better than I was Friday. You know where the Weir City Limits is on the other side of Weir?
Yeah.
City limit sign, right there in the curve.
Oh, where that telephone substation is.
Yeah, well, you know where the guy sits those vehicles out for sale out there on the property all the time?
Yeah.
Right there. Both cows are standing in the road there. One was in the other lane, and one was, you know, right.
It was pretty bad.
I came around that curve, I swear to God.
Yeah, I know what's that.
The first indication of anything I was wrong was I saw the first
Yeah,
cow.
we're gonna clean that up.
About the time I went, uh-oh.
Up there in the
Cow.
alley? No, it's not at the street.
You know who the Woolworths are?
Did I know who they are? No.
There's a no dumping sign.
Friday,
We've been trying to get that cleaned up for weeks, but.
All right, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:30. And roll call, everybody is present. And if you don't mind, if you'll join Joe Cox and lead us in invocation.
Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together here and make decisions for the city of Granger. Please lead, guide, direct our thoughts and considerations. Make them good for the whole, for everybody. Be with our loved ones near and far, with those who are in need of your special care and attention. Thank you for the many blessings. Protect our first responders and police and all the kids in school. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
You'll join me in a pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
public comments.
Mr. Puff is already on the agenda item, so I think you prefer that.
Oh, okay. Al?
City Council. I do. I just wanted to say I was here on Saturday for the Texas Main Street program, and Deborah was the name of the lady that did the little explanation about the program, and it was very informative. It was very helpful to understand their vision and their mission, and it aligns very closely with the chamber. And I just wanted to say, please think about it for the ones that weren't here. Hopefully y'all got to see some of the information on it, and say that it really spoke to my heart, because I'm on Davila, and our Main Street is just adorable, and I want to keep it adorable and keep the buildings up and pretty. So thank you. All I wanted to say is please think about if you're voting on it, or whatever the next steps are. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Announcements or CDBG grant updates?
Yeah, it's on.
Test. Yes, maybe.
Yes.
Maybe something. All right, the first one is the 2015 CDBG project. This is the Con Street culvert. If you're on Facebook, I think we've seen some pictures. They're finally moving the culverts in. They got them all set today. So they're going to be backfilling and starting to get everything set up with the head walls around the front, get everything tied together the next couple of days. Barring any weather incidents, I know the past couple of weeks, any little rain that we get there, it makes the ground real soft. So it's real hard for them to get their equipment in and out. So it's kind of delayed them a little bit, but today was a great day. They got all the boxes moved in. So that's a positive for us there. So they're moving right along with it. Along those notes, kind of going in with 2015, I did speak with Sally Bardwell with the Commissioner's Court. She is the one that handles all the Williamson County grant programs. We were talking about moving some of the money from the 2016 project into the 2015 to help pay for the water line replacement, as well as cover the cost of the sidewalk. That is going before Commissioner's Courts tomorrow. So the Commissioner Court will vote on that. We don't see any reason why they would deny that. It's all money still going to the city of Granger, so they're voting on that tomorrow. So hopefully we'll have some positive news after tomorrow. So we'll have that money running. 2016 on the lift station, we're still on schedule to have the lift station package completed by mid-October. Hopefully they're going to have that delivered by the end of this month. They did run into, with Hurricane Harvey, the PVC plant, or the staging area, the storage area is in Houston. It was inundated by Hurricane Harvey, so PVC pipe has been at a premium the past couple of months. Not only that, Hurricane Irma hit the resin plant in Georgia, which expounded the situation. So things are just now getting up and getting running again. We did have plenty of pipe in the Houston storage facility, so all of that has been rolling out. We're hoping there's not a gap between when we run out of the supplies in Houston before the resin plant in Georgia can get us more supply down to the Houston. So it's all a shift now. So everybody's hanging on to their PVC pipe, needless to say. So it's gold right now. So I don't think it's going to affect us. Our pipe is pretty small, and in a very small quantity, I think we can, the contractor doesn't sound like it's going to be an issue for us. So everything looks good there. As far as those are concerned, one other CDBG, it's on the agenda item here later. We can talk about that when that item comes up. Any questions on the 2015-2016 CDBG?
Anybody have any questions?
Scott, do you have any idea when the Pecan Street Bridge might be open for use, estimated?
We're probably looking at about another 2 months for final completion. We have to get all of our density tests and all that stuff done. When they start backfilling, we are required to do density tests to make sure they're compacting it right, so that does take time. So we're looking at about 2 months by the time we're done.
Middle of December, end of December?
Hopefully middle of December or somewhere in there.
Right, thank you.
2017, if you'll remember, that's a replacement of another lift station on the south side of town. I do know the money has been awarded by Williamson County, so hopefully the city will receive that contract this fall. So we're looking around the October timeframe, November timeframe. So hopefully you should be seeing those contracts or some letter from Sally on that saying that the city has been awarded those funds. So that will kick off next year around January, February timeframe when we can get that one rolling.
How many lift stations do we have?
I believe that's the last lift station.
There's a total of 3.
Right,
Those are the main ones.
Right. So I think we're going to be sitting pretty good after this one, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Frank? The third one is?
Yeah, the third one is the one we're redoing.
Right. So I think we're sitting good with that. So after 2017, we need to start thinking about what else do we want to hit with these funds.
So, yeah, is it possible we could do manhole replacements?
Absolutely.
Because the one right outside my sewer plant, it is undersized.
Okay.
We do need to bring it up to par, and the whole line was damaged with that flood.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. We can include that.
So if we look into that, it'd be great.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Scott.
Fire department report for September 2017.
Excuse me, sir. You skipped B.
Oh, I'm sorry. B, grant update, September 2017. Sorry about that. Okay. Somebody.
I don't have much to talk about this right now.
The Historic City Hall project, the architect is writing the final report for this last phase we finished, and once that's turned in, like I said, we're still waiting on our reimbursement award to be direct deposited into the account here, but while we're waiting for them to come out with the 2018 award list, I'm not going to poke them with a stick, okay? So they know the money's ours, we know the money's ours. The Firehouse Sub grant, we're hoping to hear from them and their award list the middle of this month. The RC&D, we're getting slowed down a bit because our contractor who's been doing the cleanup has been promising himself to a lot of work down on the coast. So, and then the one day we did have him scheduled here not long ago, we got rained out. So we have him coming. He's on the schedule again this week for the Mustang Street cleanup. Okay. Park equipment. I met with the engineer in Temple a couple of weeks ago, and we have taken this opportunity with some of the new information the city's been getting to reevaluate exactly how we want to use that first phase in the park. And we want to make it as available as possible for public use as soon as we possibly can. So we've been looking at different playground arrangements and the sizes of them around Temple and Belton to see what's already been done and what might fit best on that property and still leave some room for other uses. We've also talked about how the parking arrangement would go, and she's finishing up the plans and the bid on that. The grant we're writing for the playground equipment is about 50% done, and it will be due February 1st, 2018. And of course, the Texas Main Street program, I have been doing a lot more research on other grants that the city could qualify if you should decide to go with the TMSP program. That would be a real feather in your cap as far as grant awards go. It speaks a lot to the grant makers. They really think that they see cities that join that program as real up-and-comers. They don't typically fail in that program. They see nothing but forward growth, and so just keep that in mind. There's a lot of money behind it. Of course, Saturday you heard her talk about some of the infrastructure, very large infrastructure grants that the city could have access to if you were admitted to that program. Any questions?
Anybody else?
All right.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Fire department report for September 2017.
There was a total of 34 calls. Medical assist was 26 of those. We had 4 collisions, 1 outside fire, 1 structure fire. The structure fire was in GFD district. You had 2 medical assists, and that was all they had for last month. However, 34 calls is at least a call a day if you do an average. They could use volunteers. I know everybody gets tired of me saying that, but we need volunteers on the fire department. They are selling raffle tickets now, so if you see one of the fire department guys, buy a raffle ticket from them. It helps them with purchasing things for the fire department.
How much are the raffle tickets?
I think it's is it $20? $20? Okay. I'll check and find out.
Thank you.
No questions?
I had one that worked on.
Utility Department report for September 2017.
We repaired 4 water leaks and we repaired 1 water main. Installed 2 meter boxes, installed 1 new meter. Monthly meter readings, 19 rereads, 14 disconnects, 11 reconnects, and we did the 2 new valves for the Pecan Bridge. We ran 2 sewer lines. We had a located an abandoned sewer line, and we replaced the cap that was off of the crossroad there from Pecan and Oak, Donahoe. We cleaned 4 drying beds at the wastewater plant, and we wasted. We replaced the entry doorknob for the pump house and the chlorine room at the wastewater plant. Sent sample for the drying bed so we could get that hauled off. We're trying to get that old sludge hauled out. I'm pending results now.
We have a lot of it down there, don't we?
Yes, it's ready to haul. We mowed in town. We're pretty much on schedule. Of course, the cemetery is definitely lacking. We know we need to get there. It's hard for us to get out of town right now. We know we need to do it. We repaired the zero turn. I had to put a new solenoid on it. Got it repaired. We did that in-house. We went ahead and asphalted the new line that was put in on Nash, and then we did 2 major ruts that needed filled. We repaired the school sign. We put the new utility truck is in service. In-house repaired the cutoff saw, which it drastically needed work. We removed the tree on Donahoe. I am trying to widen that road so we can open it up. We're in the phase of getting ready to clean it up and then put some road base on it. So we will widen it so that when we get the bridge open, we'll have that road more accessible. And we repaired the swing at the park, and this is what we did spray. This is just something, we did get our sprayer in, and I got it in our little mule, and we sprayed. We're starting to get the curb lines. We got the waterway off the main highway. The guys really like the sprayer. They said it's working real good. It shoots a good distance, so we're getting good penetration into the ground, so we should start killing all the grass on the roads. So we are doing that. And that's the report.
Any idea on when on the cemetery? I know you're trying to get there, but
we should be able to get up there this week. But it's been lacking, and I know that. It's not something that I'm just bobbing off. It's just something we hadn't been able to get there.
May I add on that particular item, we did hire someone. He should be starting in another week. So we'll have this week and then another week. He's finishing up some classes that he's taking. He is in school for electrician. He's doing what's that called? Like a journeyman type thing. So we're working with his schedule so that he can start here in 2 weeks. And we're putting him in mowing and at the cemetery.
thank you.
Can I ask, who cuts the railroad? Are we responsible for that, or is the
Uh,
railroad?
Actually,
Union Pacific.
that would go state or Union Pacific, neither of which want to cut it.
Union Pacific on
Spencer
average comes,
Green actually does mow it for us.
Who?
Spencer, he
Okay,
lives right up the village.
yeah.
He mows it most of the time. And we try to catch the other side when we can. But as far as the state and the railroad taking responsibility, I've not seen it.
the state won't do it inside of town, and the railroad only comes through once a year on average since I've been here.
And we have some piles, if you look into the grass, it's high, but we have piles of gravel in there, and that's adds other issues, because you can't just mow over their mounds. That, I guess it's stuff that the railroad left.
Yeah.
From that
It's
remodel.
from what they were doing, they just left it there.
Everything that belongs to the railroad that they've left has been picked up, except for the section of spare track over off of Mesquite
And the rock.
and the rocks. They probably won't move the rocks. They are gonna try to get that spare section of track out of here by the end of December.
Would they allow us to maybe smooth the rocks out, or is that something we have to leave on?
I think we could. I don't think they'd even notice it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Can't we spray it too?
That's a good point.
Yeah, I'd like to get the streets first. I want to try to concentrate on our streets, because there's some that are, got almost 4 foot of grass on each side.
I would like for the council to go over on Oak and Plum where we've started and take a look and see what they've done so far. I did drive out there today, and I'm very proud of the guys. I'm extremely happy about this.
It's nice having it, because that grass goes over and it basically turns the asphalt into gravel. And so hopefully with this new mule, we're going to really be able to save our streets long term.
Oh, yeah.
So, anybody else have any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Police Department report for September 2017.
No additions to the report, except that one of the reported thefts turned out to be unfounded just last week. The item that was missing was found. It was at another location. But we are having problems with petty theft in town, and some of it is being reported, and some people won't report it. I'll just hear about it in conversation up at the Granger Food Mart. I don't know why people won't report stuff. We will try to get to the bottom of it if there's viable leads, but right now, all I can say is please secure your belongings.
I overheard or saw it on Facebook too, that there was an attempted break-in at the Novak's house on this side of Davila Street, on the west side.
Mm-hmm.
That they heard the people and they were trying to kick in their front door while they were sleeping. Did they report that to you?
Nope. But I've had that problem before. People don't seem to know what number to call.
Yeah, they can blab it on Facebook, but they don't report it to you. So how are things?
They don't report it to me or the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office, if they take a report when we're off duty, they will forward the report to me. I get them emailed to me on a regular basis.
I was wondering if they turned it in.
Oh, yeah. So they apparently didn't feel like it was necessary to
Yeah.
report.
So please be careful. Also, I know another person, they had a knock at like 2:30 in the morning, just beating on the door. They didn't answer it. And I've seen other places where people are doing that and they're opening the door and asking them what they need and they're pushing their way in. So just tell your neighbor not to open the door for anybody. If they don't know them, I wouldn't open the door.
I just learned today, I had a phone call from a man who's actually out of state. His elderly father last week had a person come by and knock on the door. He didn't call these people. They said they were roofers and that his roof looked pretty bad. Do you mind if we go up there and take a look? And apparently he said yes. They went up there and shot some screws through his shingles and then sprayed the shingles with silver spray paint.
Something, yeah.
And that was over, that was over on North Willis, right across from you, Jill. And, apparently, they got a picture of the guy's truck and we ran the license plate. He lives in Cedar Park and at a mobile home park. And, one day this week, I'm gonna take me a little trip over there nice and early and see if I can identify this individual and tell him how unwelcome he is here in Granger.
Any other questions?
Who do you want? The chief?
Me?
That's what, I thought something blue.
Okay. Okay, I just want to say that on Tuesday, October the 3rd, we did go ahead and have National Night Out despite of the weather. We had probably about 65 participants. No one went home hungry, and everyone had plenty to eat, and the kids seemed to have a great time, and the weather didn't matter at all. I'd like to really thank Jill for opening up her Hot Cotton Club and allowing the hospitality she gave us.
Thank you, Jill.
Yeah, Rosie and Monica and Debbie did all the work. But thank you.
It did go very well. Thank y'all for everything y'all did.
And Chief, bought $50, the first $50 worth of ice cream on an ice cream truck that rolled up, and those kids loved that. That was cool.
Everyone that came, by the time they were leaving, they were thanking us for going forward with it, and they said they had a great time, and the four of us have agreed to move on for 2018 and do it again.
Yeah, bigger and better.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
City Administrator report for September 2017.
Thank you. I put a preview of the newsletter that we're going to be mailing out tomorrow. I wanted to emphasize just how much changes are going on, and I definitely want to include the community. I know that there are members of our community that are not of the digital age and don't necessarily get out very much. So I think this is a good way to reach some of those people. For those that do participate in the digital age, they probably don't get much mail like this. So I think this is maybe a reverse, unique way to an opportunity for people to be involved in their community. We are seeing a lot more community involvement, but we need more. I definitely feel like I don't like surprises myself, and although not many people make it to the city council meetings, and I always give a big shout out to everyone that shows up, it is important that their community participate. In this newsletter, as you read it, you will see that there are plenty of opportunities for citizens to be involved. I invite them to help their neighbor. I invite them to be involved in our ordinance rewrite committee. Speaking of the rewrite committee, because it's such a challenge to get everybody in the same room and on the same page with what we all want, I developed a way to give people access through the website. So if people do want to participate, it's sort of a prerequisite that they have a internet connection and a computer. They need to be able to use that computer. If not, they should have someone to help them. We will be giving online YouTube video training on how to use the file share system. So that's coming up. But this will then give us the opportunities to schedule people to work on the ordinances, or at least get a chance to review them and make suggestions. It's a good way to get people involved. So I'm very excited about this tool, and I can't wait to present it, because in addition to the ordinances, we're putting together the city's master plan. So each of the council member will have a log on to. So this YouTube video training will apply to that as well, for council members to participate in the overall city's master plan, which is relatively new. It hasn't been done in about 20 years, and the one that we do have, we've outgrown it. Things have changed. So I'm also very excited to announce that a number of people from our new MDD have volunteered to participate in going to the conference, as well as some council members. So it is really nice to see so many people involved, and it's going to be a lot of fun going to this conference and having the representation that we have. It's a really good showing. It shows the people at TML that we care about the city and its growth and development. So on the last note, the planned development going in on Alligator, Mayor Cheatham and I, as well as the staff, met with the realtor who represented the buyer on that 25 acres. This is a very, very huge step forward that we're endeavoring. The deal hasn't completed, but it sounds like it's going to go through. So I wanted to share with you, and I'm sure the mayor could add to this, this was a very preliminary discussion about what we would want to see. The developer, it sounds like they want to include the city on their planning and make it a development that meets the city's needs. And since we really don't have a master plan yet, this is sort of like wet cement. Every day, every conversation, every email that we have with them is going to evolve the situation. So when you talk about this to the people in the community that you represent, make sure that they understand that this is in no way set in stone. This is definitely something that's going to change over time. What it will ultimately look like, I don't know. I do have one recommendation on it, and it really just depends on what the developer wants to do. But I would like to go at it from a point of view of they plat the lots, and they sell the lots to individuals who then go and get their own builder. This sets the stage for the way the community as it is looks now. The character of Granger is that there's no cookie cutter homes. There's no tract homes. Houses were built at different times and they look different. In different neighborhoods have completely different looking houses because of the time period. And I think that that might contribute to or help keep the character of Granger. Granger is definitely going to grow. But if you set the parameters for the building, like setbacks and percentage of brick and minimum square footage and maximum square footage, and then let them pick their house, that would make neighborhoods that are similar to the neighborhoods that exist. The other alternative is to let the builder and the developer build what they want, home after home after home after home after home, looking very, very similar. So it's an option I think we might present, but this is definitely something I think that the council needs to be involved through the master plan. I don't think that this is something we need a workshop for. I think the master plan will give us the ability to share that with each other. So that is something very exciting that I wanted to include and let the mayor talk about a little bit more too.
One question on this. This is exceptional. Y'all will enjoy receiving and seeing this. Will it be a quarterly, monthly? What's the plan?
We try to, because it costs money, that's not a small penny, okay? That's a very good chunk of change. So we try to make sure that when we send these out, we have enough information to share.
Quarterly, I would think would be sufficient.
We're almost on a quarterly right now. Sometimes things like the budget process or other things like annexation may affect whether or not we can get it out exactly on a quarter. So anticipate it continuing, but it's not going to be real precisely regular.
Well, you're doing a good job, and it looks great.
Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
There's a comment on the last one about the planned development, about 5 acres for flood zone land, the city for park amenities. Does that mean they're willing to put up part of the park area?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not just donating land, it's actually looking at putting in.
They want to make us happy, because if we're happy, they're happy. Of course, they want to maximize their investment. And cooperating with the city is the best way to maximize their return on investment. When they were talking to us, it sounded like $200,000 to $230,000 homes would make them very happy. They didn't believe that the market was here for that, but Lisa Wharton, who's on the MDD, she was in attendance, and I think that she reassured them that that's possible. We've been looking at land sales and property sales in the area, and I certainly think that it's
the problem you have is there's a lot of person-to-person sales too.
Yeah.
And that hurts the MLS search.
Yes.
But property's going crazy in this town.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Some of the things that we need to, as a community, decide is lot sizes. That's something most developers are gonna wanna do what they call a 40-foot lot, which, that's a pretty small lot. That's one of those that there's probably, I'm gonna make a guess, that's probably about 15 feet between houses. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
It's actually less than that. It's more like 10.
It's 10, okay,
It's gonna end up 10,
okay,
and that's both.
yeah.
People are
It's
gonna
a,
have
it's a
5
5-foot
foot
setback on either side.
Yeah, you compare, if a fence is up, you couldn't even drive in between the houses.
You
Right.
barely could put a riding mower in your own backyard.
So these are things that I really honestly feel the community needs to give impact, my personal opinion is. And so as we're all out talking amongst the community, do your best to ask people, because those are those yards where you, like you said, you can't even run a mower through between the house and the fence. And so it does allow them to maximize profits, but at the same time, we want to maintain the character of Granger. And tract homes is not the character of Granger. We don't want to be really difficult either, but there is a happy medium where everybody can be happy. And this is a great community. So by talking to them, they had brought us 3 different options, but the housing, from at least what I'm hearing, that seems to be the most needed, because people love our schools here and just in general the community. But they complain they can't find even lots to build on.
That's true. We do get at least one person every day, if not every other day, coming looking for property. I mean, it is just enormous how many people want to move here. I will also say that because of the school district and its recent awards, congratulations to the school district, the recognition also is a draw. Also, I believe that this city council is also observed from a distance, and I think investors are paying attention to what we do on a daily basis. They see these things that go on our website, such as our newsletter and our agendas. Believe it or not, they look. We do get quite a bit of hits on our website. You would not think so, but people are paying attention to what's going on. So I think that it's important to realize that as you talk to the community members, first of all, this is a very rapidly evolving thing. This is why community involvement in our ordinance writing and our master planning at this point is critical. We don't want to turn developers away, but we also know that this is our opportunity to really shape the way things look for the future.
And I can speak to it a little bit. I called the city of Leander and asked for their ordinances. And their ordinances in Leander are so restrictive. They tell you what kind of tree, what kind of color you can paint your house, what kind of grout you can put in your brick. I mean, it is, it's intense. And so it gets to the point to where you can't even, I'm not a professional, but it looks like you can't even build a house that you want. And so if you wanted to build a craftsman style house, there's neighborhoods over there that wouldn't even be allowed. And so, whereas I think a large portion of the houses in Granger are either ranch style or craftsman. So we just have to find a happy medium as a community. So.
The most important thing for me in this process, what your community looks like is entirely up to the council and the community. I can give my inputs as far as best practices in building go. What you want your town to look like is up to you entirely. And if you want my opinion, I'll be happy to give it. But where I'm most concerned is our building ordinance. Our building permit ordinance is the first step, because if we develop these into lots that individual owners could buy and then decide to build upon, the thing that I need is the steps, the code that they can build it to, the inspections that will be required, how much those will cost. Those are administrative things that I need your help and support with. So we're going to push that first. There is also going to be a second track which involves what future developments will look like, lot size, brick requirements, that sort of thing. But that, to me, until we get the building ordinance passed, is going to be secondary.
And one of the things that, whatever decisions this community makes, it doesn't just affect us today. those homes will be here for 50 years, 75 years. We've got to make sure that the community is involved in that. And we also build our ordinances applicable to those walls. Because whatever development comes in, it's here. It doesn't, it shapes our city. You can't go back once it starts building. And so those are just critical, that not only do we get the building ordinances, but also how do you want this done? Perhaps a list of wants and the fill versus the cannots.
I have a question. That land's not in the city limits. Why?
Correct.
Why? I mean, I would go out there and buy a piece of land. I wouldn't ask you what I could do.
They need us. Sewer, water.
Oh, the developer does.
Yes. The reason is to put in sewer and water out there would conservatively, for the amount of homes they want to put in there, would probably cost them $1 million or $2 million. And so, whereas if they plug into us, it might cost them maybe $100,000. And so the cost savings would be a lot cheaper to work with us.
Plus,
Would you like to say something, Scott?
Yeah, I will say that every city has what's called a territorial jurisdiction. What that is you have your city limits. Based upon your population, the state gives every city an extraterritorial jurisdiction. I think Granger's is a half mile based upon our jurisdiction, based upon our population. So a half mile outside of the city limits is all controlled by Granger. So they still have to develop according to Granger's ordinances, things like that.
That's why I'm asking,
Scott.
because I would like.
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong.
Somebody say, well, what is it? I mean, business is.
Linda, also you have two different maps that control our city. You have your city limits map, but we also have our water and wastewater maps, which are CCN. So we have our city limits and our CCN for both water and wastewater. They are not the same. The water and wastewater go outside of the city limits. I know on north side they go quite a bit outside, which means that if a developer comes in and it is under 25 acres, there is no way for them to opt out of our water and wastewater. 25 acres, it gets a little funny now. So they have to come to the city if they're inside of that area for our CCN. Is that a correct summation of it?
That's pretty much correct, yes. For all intents and purposes, every city's CCN is the city limits. The Public Utility Commission now controls the CCN maps. It used to be TCEQ, now it's PUC. What PUC has done is they have basically said, all right, cities, your city limits is now your CCN. If you had service areas outside of that, we'll add to that. So if you go look at the PUC website, you can download the CCN maps, and you'll notice, like Granger, there will be no hatched area for the city, because it's inherent that inside the city limits, it's controlled by the city. If there's any area outside, you'll see the hatching go outside. Now, if you will look, Jonah Water Supply comes all the way up from the southwest all the way up to the Granger city limits. So anything outside in that area, if we were to develop or anything to go in southwest of the city, that's in Jonah Water Supply CCN. Jonah has first right to provide that water. Now, the state legislature, you can take them to court, and the state legislature will allow a city to get dual certification, which means now you can't take over Jonah, but now that property owner that develops can now choose between Jonah or the city of Granger. That option is there, but that is a legal battle, and that takes a couple of years to get through. So,
And in line with that, the city of Georgetown, part of their development, decided it was easier to just let Jonah have the water than to fight Jonah over it. It can get costly with attorneys.
it does. The other thing that's a benefit to developers to come into the city is once you're into the city and you get city utilities, now you can develop quarter-acre lots. Whereas if you're outside and you have to put in septic systems, the county requires half-acre lots. So now their lots are a lot bigger. They don't get as many houses on it. Now all of a sudden their overhead is a lot more, so they can't make as much back. So they really want the city utilities.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Explain.
All right, anybody else have any more they want to talk about that? Or? All right.
I just want to say one last thing. It's an ongoing developmental thing. I invite any of the council to come to the city offices at any time, and I will work with you. I will clear my schedule if I have to. This is going to develop very rapidly. It's something that we cannot let go of. This is going to be the forefront of everything we do between now and when the development starts. And it's going to be a busy process. It's going to be a very stressful time. So please be kind to me.
Okay, one of the things that was brought out Saturday, it said that our city, being Granger, is a direct connection between what we do today and why we do it. And it will affect people 50 to 100 years from now.
Moving on to regular agenda item A, discuss, consider, and possible action concerning a request from Pastor Phil Hamlin to temporarily close East Mesquite between South Willis and South Donahoe between 4:30 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. on October 31st, 2017.
Motion to approve regular agenda item 4A.
Second. All right. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All right. All opposed, please vote the same. Seeing none, motion passes. Regular agenda item B, discuss, consider, and possible action concerning Bruce Huff, litter criminals, and what a community can do about it.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, and citizens of Granger. I've got to first say I've been here about an hour and I've looked through your streets pretty carefully, and I got to say you got one tidy, good-looking little community. Thank you so much for being such a great representation of Williamson County. My name is Bruce Huff. I live at 712 Stone Ridge Drive in Hewitt, Texas. I'm a 64-year-old submarine Vietnam veteran. I have multiple sclerosis and I've had it since 1989. It did not affect me physically until about 2 years ago. In my career, in my life, I was a nationally certified volleyball referee. I traveled all over the country. I did the women's Olympics teams, and around Central Texas, I even came as far up as Bartlett and did the regional state finals here. But aside from that, I also owned fish markets on Cape Cod. What I noticed there was the unbelievable amount of tumors that I would find in swordfish that I would spend $5,000 to buy, and I'd have to cut out about $1,000 worth of it in order to salvage the meat. That started me on an environmental kick. Then I started noticing syringes washing up on beaches on Cape Cod. We started a national emergency situation with the EPA prior to the EPA. And that was, we had to clean up our waters. What I'm finding today is that there are circles of plastic in the oceans that we have created. And the amount of litter that we discard has got to be addressed. It is epidemic, folks. It is in the worst shape our world has ever been in. We must stop plastic production. Hugh, I applaud you for your cup. So anyway, after I work at the Salvation Army, by the way, and the way that I got started with my litter campaign was that I noticed that all of my homeless people left a trail. You could always tell where they were because they'd leave cups, you know, whatever that was in their hand, they just drop it. And I did this for almost 2 years until I couldn't. And a friend of mine said, you know, you really need to get a group started. And all I could think of was a bunch of old senior citizens out there bopping along trying to to pick up everyone else's litter. And so, you know what, that sounded like a pretty good idea. And then we came up with the name of our group. If anyone remembers Arlo Guthrie from the 60s, he was a protest Vietnam campaigner who was arrested for littering. $25 was his fine. About a month or a year later, he went to enroll or enlist into the army in Vietnam to fight our war. He was turned away because of his littering fine. He was now a criminal. And you know, folks, if it was that serious back then, it by golly ought to be that serious today. So, with that being said, I started an anti-litter group. It's called the Group W Bench Litter Patrol. It's on Facebook. I encourage everyone to join. I've got, at this point, in 1 year's time, in November, at Thanksgiving time, it'll be 1 year that I started this. We've got 588 members all across the world. I've got 14 countries that look at what we're doing in Waco, Texas. From the Philippines, China, Kenya, Iraq, Pakistan. All over the world, we are faced with the same problem. If we've got that many people with this problem, why can't something be done about it? So I thought, well, we've got to do something. And my thought was, I got together with Doc Anderson, who is my district representative in the House. And I talked to him about it. And I thought I was talking on deaf ears because all I got out of that meeting, I thought, was an autographed calendar. And a few months later, I get a call from a lady in Austin who follows what I'm doing in Waco. And she said, were you aware that Doc is trying to file a bill about litter? And I was like, what? You got to be kidding me. So I found out what he was doing. And this bill is exactly what I asked for. It's House Bill 1884. It was passed unanimously in the House 135-5. The Senate passed it 40-0, went right to the governor's desk. He signed it in June. It is now law as of September 1st. And this law, the way that it reads, is that it will give judges the ability to impose up to 60 hours of community service to people that are caught littering. It could be in addition to a fine, it could be in lieu of a fine. The point is that this will make people accountable. And if other citizens see their friends out picking up litter, they are less likely to litter themselves. I've got a 9-year-old girl I've recently become friends with who lives in the Netherlands. She got an award from the UN this last year, the United Nations. All the nations of the world respect what this little 9-year-old girl is doing. She's Lily. Lily's Plastic Cleanup. And she has made quite an impression on the world. I guess I'm trying to do the very same thing, but I'm just an old fart. Nobody will ever listen to me. But so my objective is to get more and more kids involved because kids understand what they see right in front of them. This affects our water. This affects our animals. This affects our air and our lives. So Lily's helping me establish a coalition of all countries that we've got on our Facebook pages. And we are going to insist on all of our governments that we include recycling, especially in the manner that we take care of our earth. Incidentally, I was at a Waco City Council sustainability meeting a few months ago. The solid waste department manager was very very happy that they have a 35% recycling rate among their customers. So I just got to thinking about that for a minute. 35% of 100,000 people, if they're customers of the Waco City Solid Waste Department. 35%, folks, is pitiful. I mean, honestly, it's just pitiful. It's got to be 100%. It's got to be. People have to recycle. When I came through your town, I went through all your streets. I went into one of the shops down here, and I got to tell you, the way I got started when I was a kid was in a small town just like this called Overbrook, Kansas. Population 609. Their motto was "Don't overlook Overbrook." Love that place. But I would go along the ditches and pick up cans all the time to make money. Well, here there are no cans. There's nothing on the side of the road. You guys are doing an impeccable job. I don't know what the difference is. Is it pride? My heart swells when I see something like this, and you're all to be congratulated, every one of you. Thank you. So, a small factoid about plastic. You can look up almost anything on the internet, as I do, but the energy saved by recycling one plastic water bottle will power your computer for 25 minutes. I don't know how in the world they came up with that statistic, but it sounds kind of reasonable, kind of plausible. Incinerating 10,000 tons of waste creates one job. Landfilling the same amount creates 6 jobs, while recycling the same 10,000 tons creates 36 jobs. What I'm proposing at the Waco City Council is an incinerator at their solid waste. Right now we're going through growing pains. We have 1 cell left of our landfill. Now, what a cell means is that there are multiple cells in a landfill that capture all the sludge and the junk and pushes it out the bottom, and it keeps it all contained. Well, so we've got about 1.5 years left, and so they're looking for other places to do it, and I'm thinking, why don't we just incinerate what we've got and do this particular formula, and it'll create jobs, and it'll get rid of our waste. We won't have to buy another landfill site. Sounds reasonable to me, but we'll see how that works. So, you know styrofoam cups, right? They're my enemy of all. If you lined up all of the foam cups made in just one day, they would circle the earth. And most of those cups wind up in that gyre in the Pacific Ocean that becomes microbeads, and the fish eat it, we eat the fish, we die. It's as simple as that, folks. So what I'm asking you today is to help me with either some sort of a proclamation or a commitment to the governor that you will become zero waste, and give us all a shot. Small towns are the foundation of our country. This is where it all begins. And without your help, I can't do my job in trying to eliminate this scourge of our earth. We need to get rid of it. I've brought business cards if anyone would like. I've got my name and email and address on the back of them. There are lines on the back of my card so that you can write down whatever you see that needs attention. And the reason why I did that is in Waco, when people do that, they call me instead of the city. I get it taken care of. So please consider joining my little effort. Lily would appreciate it, and I certainly would appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor, before y'all move to whatever you're going to make motions on, I just want to address him. We met at award ceremony or something for Waco, they had artists come and present artwork that addresses the problem of environmental damage and cleanup. What he doesn't know is that we have an individual on our council, Hugh Tidwell, who works in waste recycling for hazardous chemicals. I think he knows how well it can be very dangerous to environment. We've done a lot of things in this community in a very short time. What the city council doesn't know about me is that there's a reason why I do public service. And that reason is this is my opportunity, this is my chance at making our environment a better place. So one of the things that we realized last year before we renewed our waste contract with our waste hauler was that Granger was a very low participant in, comparatively speaking, to other cities that with this company. They were very disappointed in our waste recycling participation. We were below 20%. We were like at 14%. The last time I checked, we're up to 45%. So that's progress. The green containers that we have, when they were delivered, a lot of the community called us and said, take this can away, I don't want to do it. We spent a lot of time on the phone explaining, no, that can has to stay with you. We're not going to pick it up. And all you have to do is put rinsed out plastic in it and then take it to the curb every 2 weeks. The people that called us and said, I don't want this, are now participating. So we're making positive directions. The one other thing that I want to say is very positive. I think it sends a message to landfillers. Everybody remembers the MagnaFlow problem. They were supposed to be bringing us leachates from landfills. That's the water that seeps through the dump site to the bottom and then collects. That water got siphoned off and was supposed to be put on our wastewater treatment plant. What I realized after doing some research is they're having a hard time finding people that will accept that type of waste and process it. That sends pressure back up to the landfill companies that say, okay, you just run out of room and time for this. So in our own way, by no longer accepting that leachate as a byproduct of these landfills, that sends a message, and in a business model it says this is no longer working, we need to do something else. So in a very large way, the small city of Granger has done an amazing job. The dump cleanups that we're doing and the grant work that we're getting, sending a message. And just by the fact that we have this new House bill that our judge can now issue community service, I think these are all positive steps, and I'm very proud of this community. Thank you.
Can I say one other thing?
Yes, go ahead.
Our picking up litter in Waco is just about at 50,000 pounds for the year. We've got like 10 to 12 volunteers who pick up litter, 50,000 pounds. And we probably left another 50,000 pounds. Anyway, sorry to throw that out. Thank you.
Your Facebook page is Group W Bench Litter Control? Patrol. Okay. And we have a Facebook page, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like one of your cards.
I'd like to make a motion that the city Facebook page, like the Group W Bench Litter Patrol Facebook page, and stay in communication with what we might be able to do to improve our 45% on recycle and encourage the community to utilize their green cans.
Second.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
What type of organization are you set up as?
Nonprofit. I'm not a 501c. This is a self-sustaining membership. It's not organized by the state, in the state size.
Okay. Which 501 are you?
I'm not a 501.
Okay.
Yeah. We're just a total volunteer group.
So are you a group recognized under state statute by filing some type of a?
No, we're totally self-sustaining, and that funds come out of our own pockets. So there's no point becoming fireworks. Yeah.
Motion on the floor.
Motion's on the floor.
A second.
All in favor? All right. Are you for it or no? Okay. And then all opposed or one against. Motion carries. Regular agenda item D, discuss, consider, and possible action concerning applying for the Texas Main Street Program and making a commitment to creating a new position in the following fiscal year.
It's item C.
Oh, sorry, thank you. Item C. Well, there was some of us there on Saturday. Some weren't able to attend. Deborah Dresser came out. She did a really good job of explaining the Main Street project. The reason I had originally reached out for the Main Street project was I was working with the Texas Historic Commission with the City Hall restoration, and because we had done such a good job, they said, you know, when I was talking to the people at the state, they said, you know, would y'all consider the Main Street project? And so I went online, did some research, and then Catherine actually did a lot of research on it. And then we were able to set up that date on Saturday for them to come out and do the presentation to us. I'll give you all a quick rundown of what the Main Street project is. We have to make a commitment to the Main Street project of a full-time employee for 3 years. And then after that, their duties can be split. With that, the annual cost, I believe, is $550. I didn't bring my notes. $565. Okay. And so the benefits that we get from that, from the Main Street project, are an architect that the people on the Main Street can use. They can call and have access to architects, access to like design business plans. So if they want to put up a sign, they can. The state will kick that in, and basically get a lot of free services. They also step by step walk the city through how to revitalize downtown. And the reason we want to use the Main Street project over us trying to do it ourselves is they have the Main Street project really got started around the 1980s, and what ended up happening is they have all of this wonderful decades of time of trial and error of what works and what doesn't. And so, so we don't need to recreate their mistakes. They already know what they are. And by joining the Main Street project, basically they tell us what works and what doesn't work. And that way we're not wasting time and energy and money throwing after a project that's not going to work. And it's supported by the state of Texas. And so, I believe there was 21 small cities under 5,000. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so there's large cities, but we would definitely be a part of a very small group of cities our size, 21 of them, that actually has, that is part of the Main Street project. The filing date to be a part of the Main Street project is August 31st.
No, it's the last day of June.
Oh, okay, I'm way off on
The
that, sorry.
application's not even available until February of next year.
February, yeah. And so the real benefit to this is our local businesses. It gives them the ability to have access to professional services at the state level that they don't have to go out and pay an enormous amount for hiring, you know, to get a business plan. Maybe they lack the, maybe they've never created a business plan. And what this does is this really allows small businesses to get started and to thrive in this community. In our existing businesses, they can go and get new signage, get help with all of these things. Maybe they want their building redone. They can get free architectural services, and that helps grow our business, and it, which will give us sales tax. And so it kind of it feeds everything so that we can start to restore our downtown. And so my personal opinion is the Main Street project would be crucial for restoring our downtown and really moving Granger forward in the future. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I want to second what Mayor Cheatham had just said to all of the council. I think this, I recognize everybody here as business-minded people. I know you represent the city, and I think this would be a very positive step to manage the growth that we expect. Right now, my concern is, as our ordinances are written, in the historic, what you would like to consider the historic district area, there are huge potentials for investors to come in and create businesses and jobs. But right now, what we have would allow them to do just about anything they want. Metal buildings, high-rise apartment complexes. We don't have anything that says this is what we want here. So it's a huge concern of mine. They have the ability to help us write our ordinances quickly and make it professional so that we don't make mistakes and have to rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. That alone is a huge benefit. But the other benefits that we will see is we will have a dedicated, if awarded this project and awarded the Main Street designation, a dedicated person to going out there and working with business owners and working with landowners to maybe sell their land to another business that's going to build. We know that the development is coming. If you talk to our commissioner, if you talk to the county judge, if you talk to our state representatives, without a doubt, the growth is coming this way. I think time is of the essence. I think this would give us a good jump start. I support the mayor's decision to bring this here, and I would gladly work with the council on making it a positive result.
Yeah.
First of all, we went through budget this year. And I'm going to applaud city staff for what they've been doing with our city and trying to pay off things and get our city where we're in a better position. That we have made a lot of strides paying off Clawson, making budgets work so that we can pay off debt, and trying to get the city where we have a good asset line item. They've also done a good job of looking across the board at how to save money. I hope I'm not wrong on this. But next year when we get into budgeting, this city should be in really good shape because of things that have been occurring. I don't think that position is going to be a burden on the city with what we've been doing. However, what this does for the city, and you brought up sales tax, if we can get more businesses and we can support the businesses here, it brings in sales tax. Cities do not make money on property taxes for homes. Unless you get up to $500,000 or greater, you're not making money on property taxes.
Can I also add to that? We've done the numbers. On that development, the 25 acres, if we brought that in, and let's say this is 2 years from now, magically, and we have $230,000 homes over there, and they're in our city limits. Therefore, we're collecting their sales tax. At our current rate, it would only bring about $68,000 to $70,000 after exemptions. So that 25 acres only represents about maybe one new employee, and that would have to be probably a police officer for the number of citizens that we would be adding. So that's how you need to think about what he's saying.
And in line with that, property taxes are dedicated, they're not dedicated, but we tend to use them for support of our city, whether it's streets, whether it's police, all of that, it's tied into that property tax. If we can get people to come to our town, spend money in our downtown businesses, that's other people's money building our city up. I was at I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, I was at the Cotton Club on Saturday night. I'd love to see that place packed. I'd love to see people coming from surrounding counties to the Ag Place, to the buildings on Main Street being restored and having little shops in there. If we can do that, the sales tax off of this is going to pay for an employee in a heartbeat. It may take us 2 to 3 years to get there, but the sales tax will come back to help this city more than, and we need, the homes are a good thing, and I'm not trying to slight that. The sales tax is what we need to get this city and redo water lines and all the other projects we have. We've got to get that sales tax up. It's just one of those things. Both supporting the current businesses here, the red and white, where we all go, to also getting people that come in and revitalize these buildings and get them on the market for little mom and pop shops to come in and feed our economy. It's crucial for the businesses here, and it's crucial for the future of this town, in my opinion. We have buildings falling down. I get irritated every time I drive by some of them. It's a shame that we've had buildings fall down and that some are in disrepair. We've got to figure out how to get those buildings up and running. That's my 2 cents on this, is Main Street will be good for the city.
I can speak to one thing. Deborah Dresser did show, she had a spreadsheet of the towns and how much sales tax they get. And my memory fails me, I apologize, but I believe for towns under 5,000, it was about $560,000 a year in sales tax for a city of our size. And so, and that's not adding. She said one thing that a lot of people say is, if we could get one good thing to fix the city, that's not what we need. We need a bunch of little things. And we already have a fantastic downtown with a lot of assets on it. And we don't need, we don't necessarily need any new businesses. We just need the ones we have to thrive. And this is really one way of being able to get the businesses that we do have to thrive and to get those buildings in use. And so, anyways.
And it requires buy-in of our citizens. Without the citizens, this thing will not work. It's got to be all of us.
Anybody else have any questions?
I want to add one more thing. So we do have the MDD sales tax, and we did ask Deborah if it was possible to use some of that money to support payroll for the person that we would have to hire. This is a commitment, and I want to make sure that everybody understands that if you vote for this and we do move forward with the application and are accepted, when we do budget starting in May, June of next year, we're going to have to set aside the money for this. We can be creative with how we come up with the money to reduce ad valorem taxes on property owners. So it's very important to me that you understand that it's not an exclusive ad valorem tax type thing. We can use some of the sales tax from the MDD. She told us to consult with our legal advice. I haven't done that yet, but I do believe it's possible. It doesn't mean we will. But I want you to, again, understand that if you vote for this, which I'm supporting, it does mean that when we budget, we'll have to budget for a position.
And how much is that going to cost?
That's up to the council to decide what that position will be paid.
She did say Saturday that we don't have to pay them high dollar, but we do want to make it a good salary.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be competitive.
It has to be competitive, and I can't give you a number right now, but I certainly believe after we pay benefits, which include the medical payment and the payments to TMS and TMRS, our retirement system, and income taxes, that we're going to be looking at the $45,000 to $55,000 range if you include salary and benefits.
Which is, if we get the $560,000 back in sales tax.
It's a drop in the bucket.
And the professional services that come with it.
Are huge, are priceless.
We're going to end up getting all of that money back in, way more.
Way more. So I don't want you to look at that number for the salary and think, oh my gosh, this is a huge commitment that is extremely expensive. No, 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 no. You're getting 5 times the worth of that dollar in terms of what you can do with your revenues. And the other important thing to reiterate that Ms. Norris said, if accepted, it opens the door to a lot of grant dollars, huge amounts. Deborah Drescher did mention one specifically that if you are a member, then a minimum grant award for infrastructure was $450,000. Huge amount of money.
As much as 6 or more.
Right, on a single award, and there are more grants besides that.
That 450 was the minimum.
Right, yeah.
So I support this. I think this is a huge benefit to the city of Granger. I know that it's a little scary because you're not sure if your citizens will support it. That's your call.
I have a question. Would our grant consulting work be part of what this person's responsibilities could be?
As I understand it, yes, you can have a staff person dedicate their time to other opportunities.
Yes. And so with that, we're already subsidizing we're contracting the grant consultant work that Ms. Norris is doing
What are
now.
these grants gonna be used for?
Well, infrastructure grant of $450,000 at the minimum would help us lay some new pipes in the streets. That to me is one of the biggest attractions, is the door that is opened for the grants and the grant opportunities that are only available to Main Street projects.
May I ask a question of?
Don't forget about the Texas Downtown Association as well. With membership to the TMSP program, folks also join that group, and that group also gives you access to funds that you don't normally get.
Yeah. So it opens up doors that we just don't have open to us for additional grant opportunities besides CBDG and the things that we've been inking along with. It's huge what it can offer with regards to the business planning and the architectural assistance that they have an architect on their staff that is available in this area for potential people that want to open a business in town. They want to come talk to somebody about a business plan or helping them get money borrowed at a bank. They can go and utilize these services of these people because we are a Main Street project. They just say, we want to go to Granger and we want to open up there. They'll tell them what's available, what's for lease, what's for rent. They have a website that if you search, I want to open a business in Granger, what's available, automatically things pop up. And it's just a huge interactive thing for people that want to come to town and potentially open a business and our businesses that are already here. The MDD could hugely work with the Main Street program because the MDD currently has $45,000 to help new businesses come to town, but there's nobody coming and nobody talking about what that might be. They want to bring someone that is going to invest in the city of Granger and be a part of the community, but the guidance from the Main Street program and the prestige of being involved in the Main Street program would help point people in our direction. And additionally, since we're already contracting, you're already paying half the salary as it is now.
Mm-hmm. Your grant awards can pay for that person's salary.
Yes.
So it doesn't even have to come out of ad valorem taxes. The better you do at collecting these grant dollars, the more you can afford in terms of professional services. And it's just a self-perpetuating thing. I know it's an investment and a commitment, and it's kind of scary, but I think it's worth the money. I did want to ask Mr. Murrah, do you remember how much that Pecan Street Bridge project cost in terms of grant dollars? How much did that total come up to?
$323,600.
And so a minimum award through the Texas Main Street program would be $450,000. What do you want to do with that money? That's up to you.
So, most of y'all know I'm pretty active on Facebook. Every once in a while I'll post things to the political page, but I do a lot on my personal page. I say that because I post things about Orton Custom Products. I posted things about the brewery. When I went to the Cotton Club, I tagged myself in being there. I do that for a reason. I do that because if I put it on my Facebook page, people start looking at our city. If they're looking at custom furniture, maybe they'll go to that business. Maybe we get to keep that sales tax. So I have a friend that lives between Hutto and Round Rock. And the other day he saw me and he looks at me and goes, "What are y'all doing in Granger? There's new businesses and things happening there." I said, "Well, there's only a few that have come in. We've got the brewery. It's been coming about." He goes, "Well, I didn't come over there and look at things." Today I was in a meeting about advertising. The guy looked at me and goes, "Do y'all have a brewery in Granger now?" This helps that. This makes a huge stride to helping those businesses with signs, with architecture. This is a good thing. We just need the citizens to buy in, and we need everybody to be talking about, if we do this, the Main Street program, and we need everybody in town to get behind it, to volunteer the hours, and to make it a success. This could really help our businesses. And if we help our businesses, they give back to everything from booster clubs to when tragedies happen in town. Our whole city benefits when our local owned businesses do good. It affects everything in this town. We've got to take care of our businesses.
A perfect example of that would be the successful National Night Out we had. Two of the local businesses knew we had zero funds of any kind. They donated substantial money to help us out for the betterment of the community.
Does anybody have any more questions? Oh, I'm sorry.
Taylor is a Main Street project city, and Georgetown is a Main Street project city, and many of you can remember what the town square looked like in Georgetown years ago. This doesn't happen overnight. This is a long-time commitment. It's no different than what we're doing at City Hall. It'll be 5 years before City Hall is something that we move back into, but this is something you get the ball right. It takes a year for the application process, and then you're finally awarded, and they only take like 5 cities a year. Am I correct?
She said that no more than 5 usually apply, but normally 3 to 4 are accepted.
Yeah. So it's not like everybody in the state of Texas is becoming a member of the Main Street Project, but there are people that have become members that are proud and grateful and confident that they did the right thing when they chose to be a part of this program.
I did talk to the lady that works on the Main Street Project in Taylor today. She said there were several things that she started with Taylor, I believe she said 8 years ago. And that's when the Main Street Project started. And she said basically from 8 years ago, where everything was boarded up, to what we see downtown Taylor is today, that's the Main Street Project. And it worked. And there still have work to do to get those buildings filled, but it's working. Go ahead, Dan.
I just want to address the council. I know that you're elected by the membership of this town, and I think it's a wonderful way that our government works. I wouldn't participate in government if I didn't believe in it wholeheartedly. I know not everybody agrees on every issue, and I think that's important. I don't think everybody should agree. So I know some of you may be reluctant to make this commitment right now. I think maybe it might be a lot to ask. You're worried about your electorate and your constituency. It's my job to make sure that the citizens of Granger are provided clean, safe, healthy living conditions. And one of those things includes economic growth. People have children. Those children grow up. They need jobs. Before they go off to college, they might need a part-time job in high school. Right now, those opportunities are not local. And since you have a very good school district, you don't have places for these kids to work in town. I think that provides health and vitality to the community. Just the fact that you can get $450,000 on a minimum award, that's an opportunity that I wouldn't want to miss. At some point, there's going to be so many members that those grant dollars are fewer and harder to get. But because a minimum award, you have to think, is $450,000. They have a lot of money to give away, and there are not that many people asking for it. When I went to college the first time, I went on a full 4-year ride because I applied for every scholarship that I could get my hands on. And I had a full 4-year ride. So this is a huge opportunity for Granger to get free money that you don't have to borrow, that you don't have to set aside in your coffers, that takes years to build in the first place. This is a huge, enormous opportunity to get all the water lines done, the sewer lines done in the major areas, and then start working on the streets. I know that's a huge contention with people, but I can't even think about streets until we have water and wastewater infrastructure repaired and replaced and renewed and revitalized. 80 and 100-year-old infrastructure. It's scary sometimes, the fact that you have rust-colored water. It's not a health concern, but it certainly is an inconvenience when you're washing clothes. It ruins your laundry. That's an investment in your wardrobe. I mean, it concerns me. I apologize for it, but I've only worked here for a year and a few months. I can't fix it all for you. But in terms of what this opportunity represents, I am more than 100% behind it. I would understand if the council decided it's not something you want to go for right now, but I will keep pushing it.
I make a motion that we apply for the Texas Main Street program and make a commitment to create a new position in the following fiscal year.
Second.
All in favor? All right.
Sweet. Way to go, girls.
I want my Granger to look like that picture up there with that many people back.
Boy, wouldn't that be awesome?
Okay.
I remember the days when the streets were full.
And to have the brick redone and perfect like it was.
I'm not that old though.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion carries.
Hold
on. Motion carries. I gotta finish that. We got one more.
Okay, sorry.
D.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Agenda item, regular agenda item D, discuss, consider possible action concerning applying for the Texas General Land Office Community Development and Revitalization Grant to address flooding near the Pecos Apartments. Would you mind speaking to that real quick, Scott?
Okay, this is just like that. Takes an Aggie engineer to figure that out. All right, this is that General Land Office grant. It's a CDBG drainage grant that I brought up, I believe, last meeting or meeting before, where I talked about there were some questions, is it 100% funded and all of that. We did find out some information about it. It is 100% funded. It pays for all professional fees, engineering, environmental, grant writing. So basically there's no cost to the city for it. What it's for is for the 2015 flooding event and all counties that were affected by that flood. Williamson County was designated as a county that was affected, so these funds do apply. What this grant is, it is run through the Texas Department of Agriculture, through it's the GLO, but they're using the Texas Department of Agriculture process, which is the CDBG. The difference is this is not going through Williamson County, whereas in the past, Sally Bardwell has been our contact. All the money as an entitlement city or as an entitlement county, all the money goes to Williamson County. They allocate the funds of all the member cities. On this one, we have to apply separately, and we're applying with everybody else in the state of Texas that qualifies for this. So far, the people that I've talked to, the cities that we have talked to, as well as the gentleman with the GLO, it's not really out there that much. So we do have a possibility that there's not going to be that many applicants that apply for this because it's not very well known. We did ask about what's the maximum amount. He said there is no maximum. So we could apply $3, $5, $10 million if we want to. They do have $56 million allocated for the 116 counties that were affected by this flooding event. However, there's a very, very short window. And I believe in your packet, I think you included the email that I sent that had the schedule in it. What we're looking for tonight is the council's approval to move forward with this application. What that means is we've submitted a advertisement that needs to go to the newspaper. It has to go in. This is a procurement for engineering and grant writing services. You basically have to put it out for 10 days. Professionals like myself, professional grant writers will submit a RFQ for that, submit that to the city. You as a city select who you want to be as your engineer and as your grant writer. That is, and I forgot what date that was on there. The 23rd, I believe, is when they're due. So we do need to have a special meeting for the council to award that RFQ to the engineer and to the grant writer.
Yep.
That puts the grant writer under contract and gets them moving forward with writing the application. These things are due November 30th. And what that means is we have to get all of our income data for the city. It's a pretty lengthy application that needs to be submitted. We basically have a little over 30 days to get that done. It's pretty tight, but it can be done. So again, what we're looking for today is just the authorization to move forward with the advertisement for the RFQ.
I make a motion that we apply for the Texas General Land Office Community Development and Revitalization Grant to address flooding near the Pecos Apartments.
Second.
All in favor? All right. All opposed and seeing none, motion carries.
And I will say, I know the Pecos Apartment has been the biggest one. That is down here on 971, also down Brazos, and it also includes the flooding around County Road 300. So it includes that whole area. We can apply for up to 3 applications. So all the application, all the data is the same. So, you know, it's just copy and paste into multiple applications. So we can do 3 separate applications.
Do I need to change my motion?
No, what we're going to do is we're going to send out an RFQ for engineering services for drainage and for the grant administration for the
It
application.
will all apply to this area.
It all applies to that, yes. You don't have to make a decision on what you're applying for, just
On 100% match money.
That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Free
free money, yeah.
Would you like to
Absolutely.
make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor? All right, motion carries.
Who seconded?
Sorry, what?
Who seconded?
You did.
Monica did. Oh, yeah.
Do I need to go to commissioners tomorrow? Make sure they get it back in?
Yes.
We had to